Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and germs, to the Ultimate Showdown episode where we discuss and rank all of the best TV dramas of 2021. That is right. It is Movie of the Year's Best Ofs, and we are here to just discuss the TV dramas. You may have your opinions on the state of TV drama for 2021, but we're here to use a lot of screaming, a lot of absolute chaos to accurately determine what the best TV drama actually was in 2021. But I can't do that alone, which is why I have brought along some very special, very intelligent friends. Joining us for this show, we have Katelynn.
Oh, yes, you said intelligent in my name. Immediately came to your mind. Hi, yes. My name is Katelynn. I watched a lot of TV dramas this year, and I consumed them through my mind.
We consume them through your mind.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing that I am able to do myself.
A lot of people can't do it with intelligence. This is why she consumes things with her mind. We've got a theme over there.
The cooler Jimmy Neutron is what they call me.
The cooler. No, you know what? I have not been introduced yet, so I'm not going to react to the fact that somebody just called themselves the cooler Jimmy Neutron.
Call me Carl.
Which I think is Danny Phantom.
Oh my God!
True.
Right?
Ryan?
Definitely
Yes.
Danny Phantom. That other voice you hear commenting on cartoons is Ryan.
The Danny Phantom of the show, I would say.
I fucking love Danny Phantom.
Yeah, I know.
Can we just talk about
does.
Danny Phantom today?
Back in
What
my
Danny
day,
Phantom?
back in my day, people would have like on their ceiling pictures of Corey Haim or Corey Feldman or real boys named Corey, and now it's just jerking off to Daniel Phantom.
Yeah! Get me in the ghost zone, bitch.
All right, we'll see if we get to some more Danny Phantom talk throughout today's episode. I feel like this can continue on the entire episode. We can bring up Danny Phantom as much as we want. Definitely relates
I have
to
permission
the rest
now,
of
thank
the
you.
content. We also have Greg here.
I'm prepared to talk a lot about Danny Phantom, someone who we all equally are aware of and all fondly remember. I'm just going to guess. Can I throw out a guess? Is Danny Phantom like the alter ego of Jimmy Neutron?
No.
No,
Jimmy
okay.
Neutron
Close,
wishes.
though. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Greg,
it's not like a cool Urkel thing.
Are you a bigger fan of, and I will use his proper name, Benjamin Tenjamin?
Oh, Ben 10? No, these things are all... I'm so old
Okay.
compared to these references.
But I do want to point out that Greg has thousands of nieces and nephews and literally
Yes.
does not listen to a damn word they say.
Well, they talk a lot, Ryan, and you have to either accept all of it or accept none of it, and I've opted to switch into none mode.
That's a good choice.
Much
So
like
you can
Whoopi Goldberg. In the
I
hit
just
film
say it
Sister
leaves
Act
him
2,
open
Back in
to
the Habit.
spend his time listening to us instead. Very good choice.
Yeah.
Very glad you made this one. Nieces and nephews or friends on a podcast. Friends on a podcast should always win. We have one more guest with us. We have James here.
Hey, I don't start talking until Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit is mentioned, so I am now able to
That I did see that. That was in your contract. I'm sorry I forgot to bring it up
Yes.
sooner.
That is correct, yeah.
I just, it slipped my mind, and that's why he's been silent this whole time.
be... That's true. Yep, that's right.
Your friend James is kind of bringing down the whole party. Oh, just bring up Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit. He'll brighten right up.
Hello! James is here. Just fucking cards and fire shoot from his sleeves.
He is
like
Gambit.
Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act 2 Back in the Habit. I think we've all seen it. That MCU property.
All right. So those are the people who will be ranking and voting on the top TV dramas. Before we
That's
get
a bummer
into
for everybody.
Yeah. These seem like experts.
absolutely experts, we have the best opinions around. No need to look further. There's a bunch of lists I'm sure you could find online, but this is the most accurate ranking out there. Before we get into what shows we're going to be discussing, I have to ask, what was the state of 2021 drama? If we could describe it in a few words, what might those words be, Katelynn?
Heavy. That's the one. That's one
Heavy.
word. Yeah. Heavy. And yeah, that's actually I'm gonna tap out with my one word.
With just
Do you guys
heavy.
think...
Ryan, do you want to expand on that?
Well, I thought that at first she said Kevy. So, like, Kevy can fuck himself. But
Yeah.
I like...
It's like the
I
kids'
wonder
version.
if what is going to win tonight, which is this was so heavy I was forced to think, and I hate thinking, but I have to choose it, or what made me hit play after the episode was over.
Mm-hmm.
What was bingier or what was thinkier? And I do think that tonight in the bracket, we're going to see a separation of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you sort of are either one or the other.
Yeah, I could see that being the big split. Greg, do you have an inkling of what one you're going to lean towards or thoughts on TV dramas in 2021?
I do know that usually we sort of discount the, even though it's TV dramas, I think that we usually discount the ones that are like painful to watch. I don't think that's going to be as easy to do this year, though.
Because sometimes they're just so fucking good, dude.
That's the thing, yeah. And so there's a couple up near the top that are like really heavy. Like It's a Sin is joyful, but also it's very heavy subject matter. Obviously, the AIDS crisis and what it did to the gay community. And Underground Railroad, obviously, slavery is a heavy topic, but like we've never seen a show made as well as these shows, let's say, have been made. And so I think that this year we're going to have to maybe do a little bit of a better job of not being like, this bummed me out, whereas Succession like made me chuckle. And so not to rip on Succession, but I feel like we have to lean into how heavy these dramas are and not like away from it this year.
What are your thoughts, James?
I think it's kind of fun because Succession was sort of like the cis white male conductor or grounding like element, so it could be where all the suited white men were, while we got to see the stories of all sorts of other marginalized people, like black women during slave times, or the gay community in Britain, or witches in suburbia, like all these things where they're like people that are sort of persecuted or having these struggles get to have their stories told because Succession sucked up all the other other white drama.
There is this weird thing that happens though, where the sitcom that wins, or the comedy that wins TV comedy, is like the most serious, and the drama that wins best drama is the least serious.
We always find ourselves in a position where we want to settle in the middle. We don't want things too dramatic or too comedic.
Yeah.
I will also say the format was a really big thing this year, like the sort of genre exploration and sort of cinematography and what you can refer to with your production values and stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah, the word cinematography I think we have used when talking about the television dramas before, but I don't know if it has ever been as applicable as this year. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty amazing photography in these.
And we're going to keep fighting against this thing that I really would like to fight against, because as much as I love movies, I do think TV is a very special thing, and I don't want to do this thing that people do with horror movies, which is if it's good, it's closer to a movie, and if it's bad, then it's just TV drama. This is kind of garbage, so it's a TV drama, but this is kind of excellent, so therefore it's something more than that. It's like an 8-hour movie.
Right.
Like TV drama is, we're going to see how capable it is of doing so many things, but it's not just about like denouncing TV drama and saying the closer you are to a film, the better you are.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's a great point, and a lot of these thrive in the format of TV. They cannot exist in that same format, and I think we need to appreciate the TV function as it is a bit more. All right, that's a brief intro to what we're going to be getting a lot deeper into in this TV dramas of 2021 bracket and showdown. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to dive right into our top 8 TV dramas of the year. Welcome back to TV Drama of the Year 2021. We are ready to discuss our first matchup, our first bracket. In this bracket, we have our number 1 seed, Succession, going up against our 9th seed, and my personal pick, Kevin Can Fuck Himself. In season 3 of Succession, we return to the Roy family once again, as the 3 Roy siblings are vying for control of Waystar and from their conniving father, Logan. For the first time ever, we see these siblings recognize each other as a possible ally and attempt to take him down together in a conclusion of betrayal where they are sabotaged by not just their father, but both parents. In Kevin Can Fuck Himself, we use the classic sitcom set up to show Allison's unhappy marriage to the classic sitcom husband, a lazy and immature man whose only interest ultimately benefit himself. Instead of lovingly forgiving all of Kevin's blunders in this first season of the show, Allison plots instead to murder him. Katelynn, I ask you this. Which character would you most want to murder? A member of the Roy family or Kevin?
Oh, 100% Kevin. I watched this and I was like, Kevin needs to fucking die. And when she comes to that conclusion, like I'm gonna murder him, I'm like, yes, this show, like, it's like heart-wrenching in a way, the way that she has to go through all of these things and she just continues to get stepped on, and she really truly believes this is how it's supposed to be. So I feel for her, and I think Kevin should fucking die. And the way that it gets done, I'm open to it. I'm open to however he needs to die.
All the possibilities.
This voice that you're leaning into
Yeah.
right now, Katelynn, can you say the title of the movie, Uncut Gems?
Uncut Gems.
That's pretty good.
But even though the world would be such a better place if almost anybody on Succession died, still, I think that it's hard to want anyone other than this Kevin guy to be the one to buy it.
Isn't that interesting? He's so he doesn't have much of an impact on the world or anything aside from Allison's personal life, and yet he's still the one I think we would all agree to take down, whereas there's other people have legitimate power over society and
But
money.
I think that's so much part of people like Kevin is like, I have to make an impact on something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have to have power in
Yeah.
something. So if it's not going to be the way that the fucking markets and news and the world works, then it's just going to be this woman's life. You know, like then at least I'm making a thumbprint on something on the world, and it's fucking. So I don't know why I do it. You know?
I did actually add this show as an intervention for Ryan.
Yeah. Ryan's gonna fuck himself.
Is anybody surprised that this is one of like the 8 dramas from the year? I'm a little surprised by that.
Absolutely. This is you file this under Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, where the title is so nuanced that even though the show for both of these was good and very watchable and whatever, the title, I'm like, we have to play with like covering it up and like not saying it and all this stuff, that it's what it is so much cooler than what I thought it was given the title. So,
I think that my surprise, and I think it was good. It was definitely a strong entry in the 16.
Yes.
But I think ultimately where I come down on this show is that it was a premise that was fallen in love with so much, and it is brilliant, right?
Yeah.
To do that whole like Purple Rose of Cairo, step off the screen into real life and see what it's like. But I don't think the premise ever gelled. I think that like they never really set up enough of their own rules for how the show should work, that it was just sort of confusing and bogged down by that. Like, what is this? What is a sitcom? What is a peak TV drama? And how do we know the difference? And I think there was almost too much to say, too much story to tell about TV commentary and marriage commentary that I never thought. I always thought that it was on this tightrope that it kept, almost falling off of.
I do think, there's
But
an
it had
element where
Annie Murphy, and like honestly, that sometimes that's all you fucking need is Annie Murphy.
absolutely.
it does fall into that trap where the creators were so in love with their setting and what they were having to do that they kind of set everything else a little bit to the back burner. Not entirely. It didn't get to a point where you forgot what it was trying to accomplish, but it doesn't set itself up for the full success.
I feel like the concept is more like, I feel like when I'm telling people about the show, I'm definitely describing more the concept than the plot. However, the concept goes farther, way more to characterize her character than I thought it would. Where it's like what she experiences on both sides tell each other, or talk to each other about, and sort of inform the audience about what her life is like, what her mental state is like, in a way that it shouldn't work as well as I found that it did. Like it really gave me like, oh, okay, it made the sitcoms part excruciating and the excruciating part also excruciating. It was just excruciating. So like
that dichotomy was necessary
in
for
general,
her growth.
excruciating.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with that, James. The sitcom part gets harder and harder to like stomach.
Yeah.
It becomes more and more like this is a weird representation of like essentially abusive, neglectful behavior. And I agree that it gives you two different looks at what she's going through.
Well, even from I know it was set in Worcester, but basically setting a show in Boston as a sitcom is a different thing than setting something in Boston as a drama, and I think that was really interesting as well. Because in sitcoms it's just a funny accent, maybe go socks. But on a drama, it's like opioid crisis, and like,
it's
The
gray.
darker
And
side.
everything is gray.
Like there's trash
and it's just
everywhere.
raining
Yeah,
all the time.
Exactly.
You can smell the piss.
So also Worcester is one of my favorite city names to pronounce of all time. So that's fun.
Oh, it's a real one.
Yeah, that's a real city. I do have to wonder if this show would have the same impact on maybe a younger audience who didn't probably grow up with the same sitcoms constantly in the background of their childhood.
That's really interesting.
But yeah, I just wonder if, I mean, I think because of streaming services, and when I talk to people that are younger than me, they have so many more thoughts on Home Improvement and Friends than they do really anything else. That I think that there's a part of them that are like, we just ingested this nonstop because it's easy.
Yeah.
But what made it easy? Was it the constant like misogyny and just the abuse that is constantly happening? Like Tim Allen will cover up anything he does with a and that's just how his life
It's
works.
somehow endearing. Somehow we're just like, oh yes.
Isn't it interesting though? You don't hear people. Do kids watch Everybody Loves Raymond? He asked, feeling very very old when asking that. Like, I don't have here
I don't
ever.
think
Yeah.
anyone
Not as much as
has-
Friends, which is
Right,
disgusting.
well, I mean,
yeah.
But Friends is a different, whether you like it or not, Friends is a different animal. Everybody Loves Raymond, the oeuvre
this whole
of Kevin
genre
James of like,
babe wife.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
And his parents live next door, and she has to pretend like she likes them too, and they're awful. Like it's a whole separate genre that it feels like it should be like. I hadn't thought about how if you don't watch or at least haven't seen on in the background what it's being, does it work better or worse? I don't know.
Did I tell you guys that one of my friends who I hadn't seen in a long time, I talked to her and she said that her husband's parents live across the street.
God.
No.
And I was like, how is that going? And she just wouldn't respond.
Which is
didn't
worse?
have work.
Your parents live across the street from you when you're married, or your parents follow you to your college town?
Oh, what the fuck is that? Did that happen?
Oh
to you?
no.
That's
that
a
was,
thing, though. Helicopter parents just moving with their kids.
Oh shit.
I mean, and it's different
Yikes.
than you go to school in your hometown. It's my parents have nothing to do. Their jobs don't require them to be on site, so they moved with me here. I still live with them. It was
Speaking
It's-
of parents that ride in helicopters.
Yes, the helicopter parents.
The opposite of helicopter parents, though, because they often check in on their kids, but don't really give a fuck on how they're getting along. Succession.
Was there any show this year that proved that Netflix's whole way of doing things is wrong? And if you release one episode per week, you will be the talk of the fucking town for however long your season
I
is.
binged Succession, so I don't know.
Maybe my bubble is small and ridiculous. Maybe in the flyover states nobody cared, but man, I felt like we rushed to talk about every episode of Succession in a way that hadn't happened since like Seinfeld in 1996.
You couldn't go on to Twitter after the episode had premiered unless you were going to watch it in real time.
Exactly.
Because even after like the minutes after an episode ended, people were already like so crazy with the spoilers.
And critics would get screeners, and they wouldn't give a shit. They'll be like, I'm going to be banned from HBO Max, but fuck it,
But
I'm talking
doing
about
it
this as
anyway.
early as possible.
I was like about a week behind watching this, and Twitter was actively avoided the entire time I was watching Succession, especially when I saw the season finale just trending. I was like, turn it off now. You're going to spoil everything because, man, the season finale had a lot to
Hell yeah.
reveal.
Doing the first two seasons with 10 episodes and this season with 9 episodes and leaving it like that, I was like, all right, cool. They have a lot to do in episode 10, but wait, why did it go back to episode 1? What is happening? Fix it. What's happening
There's
God.
more. We need more.
My wife has made me tell her when we're up at the last episode. Like, because that's something you have to prepare
You
for mentally
Yeah.
before you watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would put.
But I mean,
Go ahead.
go James.
I would put Tom in a pit with Kevin and give them implements of destruction and have them go at each other. I've not hated a person more than Tom. I like King Joffrey better than
This was
Tom.
Tom's this was Tom's redemption season.
I guess. I guess.
Well, nobody gets redeemed on this
Also,
show.
yeah,
The only
no,
redemption
it's
for any
not.
of these.
This
is
okay,
the
so
opposite
I
of that.
think I've notoriously hated Succession and not liked it, but this is the first time when I started this season I was hooked into it for a couple episodes.
Did you watch a little bit and were you like, oh damn?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? And so I watched definitely more episodes this season than I have in any season of Succession.
The two greatest TV dramas of all time, inarguably, are Mad Men and The OC. And we have a show that combines both of those, and it is perfect.
Are we allowed to argue if it's not about the shows on topic?
No, it's
Okay,
inarguable.
gotcha.
Inarguable.
I
is
thought it was
what
That
I'm
right
saying.
there.
like a quotes.
Set in stone.
No, I hate everything about him, and I think that means the actor's doing great. Also, that's the guy that played Darcy in the Pride and Prejudice, which I remind myself every
Yes.
episode, and it weirds me out.
That's fucked up more. That's fucked up more young girls than my Danny Phantom porn.
Right.
Mr. Darcy.
Do you guys have a favorite? Do you guys have a go-to? This is the person that I root for.
Greg.
I don't know. That's such a
Shiv.
weird.
Greg.
I'm with
Shiv.
Shiv. I'm with Greg on Shiv.
Oh,
Shiv
I
is
think
terrible.
Shiv is going to win, and so I'm not worried about her.
I mean, they're all.
Terrible, but
She
I feel
has-
like she's the product of most of what's happened around her being terrible, and I justify her awfulness so
Absolutely.
much more.
I would love it if Roman won, but
They
he's
will
not
all
going
let
to.
you down.
Yeah.
No matter who you pick,
Yeah.
they will let you down.
But Greg has let me down
I
the
support women's right to be evil.
Exactly.
I think that if
I
a
support
woman,
women's rights to be
absolutely
named after a
disgusting of
fucking
me.
razor that you use to kill
Okay,
people
but
in prison.
Kendall is like Ken doll. He's moldable. He has no whatever.
Yeah.
Shiv,
no genitalia.
and then Roman, he's always moving around. I was like, come on, can we name them not things that describe them? Is there any way?
Romulus.
Greg.
And then
Exactly. And
There are
he's
other-
but he's the most Greg. It's like Greg the adjective.
Greg, would you say he's the most Greg?
Yeah.
I would say he's gregarious and egregious, and those
Does
are
he
the
represent
polarities
the
of the
true
Greg.
though? Does he?
Yeah,
he's
he-
the ultimate Greg.
I
The
would say
one
he's
true
he's
Greg.
like the platonic Greg,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
someone who sort of stumbles into the room apologizes, and then sort of stumbles out apologizing.
See,
But I would say they, as far as the show goes, the person who is most like the Greg that I know is Shiv, because
Yeah.
always thinking, always debating, porcelain face, fat ass. That is the Greg that I know.
maybe that's why I root for Shiv the most. It's in the back of my mind. I'm like, I also got to root for the Greg I know. And
And when you guys say Greg, I think wiener, right? They're all pushover wieners, but all of them are. Every single one will
Yeah.
just go with whatever wind they just recently smelled.
Because they live in a world with a true alpha,
Yeah.
which is that nobody else can have anything unless it comes from me, and so none of them develop because none of them are fully adults
It's-
because he won't let them be adults, and they don't have the courage to go just make their own way in the world.
I've never
Did the
seen
show-
characters more calculating that fail to calculate.
Yeah.
I know. Get better at it. Why aren't you better at it? Because all they're doing, they're going for the instant rush. I know that this rush will be burnt out, and I know that when it burns out, they will come back at me, and they will make me feel like shit. But for right now, I have no choice but to make them feel like shit.
Well-
Was this show ruined for you guys when Demi
Ajuibe?
made his song about?
No, that song's one of the best parts of it.
Yeah.
But didn't it sum up the show for you way
I
too
haven't
good?
heard it.
Who will
No, that is-
steal a kiss from daddy?
Yeah, that is the central tenet of the show is all of these people
It
who
just
want a
amped
sweet
it
little
up
kiss
more.
from daddy.
'Cause
Yeah.
Kendall's always like, Dad, I hate you. Oh my God, are you sick? I will get you a water. I will get you a water right now.
No, he's not.
All right.
That's exactly not what happened. Why do you keep saying the opposite of what happened on the show?
James, this is your first show.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Kendall is one of the funniest, most realistic portrayals of I did one thing good one time, but I'm also kind of garbage, so all my future decisions are horrible.
But is his one good thing one time to be born into a
No,
rich family?
the season finale of season 2 is the one time he made any good decision, which was to blow up his family, and he didn't even do that right. So like that's like
But that wasn't even done out of goodness.
No.
I
I'm
feel
not
like
saying
you
good,
can't
like,
even call
good
that
versus evil.
it.
I'm like,
And then he coasted the wave of douchebags.
Right.
that
Yeah.
entire time.
right. There's singing Billy Joel, and then there's doing things for your business, and
That fucking Twitter game that he played in his limo where everybody tell me Kendall tweets
Yes.
and
Oh,
I will
dude.
react to them is the most like, I'm cool with everything, but I'm secretly not. And my mind is broken.
Yeah.
I took a knee when that happened. Like I started to have a little bit of a panic attack when that happened.
I would never do that, Ryan, but I guess that's your right. It's disrespectful.
I think it's time that we go to a vote and move forward with this bracket. Ryan, what are you voting for? Succession or Kevin Can Fuck Himself?
I think that Succession, this was a nearly perfect season, and it does my favorite best of the year or movie of the year thing, which is it was so great and also so iconic of its time. Like we know that like this is a pop culture milestone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is already iconic. Whereas Kevin Can Fuck Himself was, I love the ambition, and I'm excited for a season 2, but it's Succession.
All right, Katelynn.
I think this is the first time I'm going to do it, and I'm going to vote for Succession. To go
First time,
first.
what, you agree with Ryan?
No.
Like, it's so hard to agree with me.
The first time that I'm
Hurts your
actually
soul.
saying something positive about Succession because I just hated the entitlement and everything in it. And
You
now
know,
I'm
Caitlin,
like,
at this rate, you're going to vote for Better Call Saul next year.
oh, don't you dare put that evil on me, Ryan.
All right, so your
It's
vote's for
final
Succession,
season?
Caitlin?
Yes,
That is
Succession.
2 for Succession. Greg, what are you voting for?
I think we did a great job acting like this wasn't the slam dunk of the evening, but this was absolutely the slam dunk of the evening. Kevin can no. Succession, obviously.
And James.
yeah. It's Succession. I don't want it to be, but it was, and it almost wasn't. But then that last episode was so good in so many different ways.
Yes.
It's Succession.
But, like, do people think that, like, if you like a show, you agree with
no.
the people that they
I'm
are?
not saying I agree with it.
Some people do have that naive viewpoint of like, I identify with these characters or I love them.
No. Yeah.
I identify with Kevin from Kevin Can Fuck Himself, and yet I'm still going with Succession.
Interesting. That's bold.
Smart
That's
choice.
a big move. Yeah.
All right. I'm very happy to say that Kevin Can Fuck Himself did make it this far, but it definitely is not going to move forward any further. It is Succession. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to our second bracket.
Hola, Filterinos. I just wanted to interrupt real briefly and say thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. If you want to support us a little more directly, you can go to patreon.com/yourpopfilter. There, depending on what tier you pick, $1 a month, $5 a month. If you're crazy, anything more than $5 a month, don't do that. You can get extra content. There's extra shows, extra series, behind-the-scenes stuff. You could pay for Ryan to draw you a picture. I can write you a poem. You can get the shirts off our very own backs. All of that and so much more over at patreon.com/yourpopfilter. While you're on the internet, you should check out Shady Monk. He does all the tunes you've been listening to. He's on Bandcamp, he's on Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever kids get their music these days that I'm too old to know. Shady Monk lives there. You can probably follow him on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's Shady Monk. Wherever you get music, check him out.
Welcome back, and we are on to discuss and vote on our second bracket. In this second bracket, we have our number 5 seed WandaVision going up against the 13th seed Yellow Jackets. WandaVision is the grief journey of Wanda Maximoff coping with the death of Vision by creating a town and sitcom reality in which she can have the life she dreamed of with him, while Yellow Jackets explores the past and present of a group of soccer teammates who survived a plane crash and journey through the Canadian wilderness together. Both shows explore characters reeling from trauma and grief, showing the impacts that it had on their lives and future. James, I ask you this. In your opinion, does the superpowered world of WandaVision or the blackmailing and murderous plots of Yellow Jackets better depict the landscape of coping with grief?
Ooh. Wow. This is... Oh, wow.
What is grief?
What is
Yes.
grief if not
let's just
a jacket
let's put it
painted
in
yellow?
terms. Here's my. I actually have a treatise on this. Hold on a sec. Okay. I think that. I don't know.
All right, so maybe McKenna, less good questions.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think that. I'm not. I think that grief is more immediate, and so I think that the WandaVision is more of a knee-jerk reaction, whereas the Yellow Jackets is like trauma or like almost like a PTSD sort of like
Sustained trauma of never letting it heal.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. Making a survival situation where then you're in survival mode for the rest of the time that you're alive. Sort of deal.
I think that was a great take.
Thanks.
And honestly, isn't that kind of now Wanda? But it's that, and she has magic powers or reality altering powers.
Yeah, if you showed what happened to the soccer team right after they got back. Now listen, if they did, I'm so sorry, but right after they got back, it would be more an exploration of what grief was like, or like even actually looking at what happens right after, like when they're still like in the cooking and learning how to shoot mode. That would be interesting to talk about for grief, I think. But again, you're in survival mode, so there's no time to grieve. Yeah, I don't know. In conclusion, I don't know.
Is this the most populist, I guess, for lack of a better word, battle that we have? Like,
I think so. Yeah, these are definitely like the people's choices.
So I obviously watched WandaVision as it came out. For Yellow Jackets, I know a ton of people who did watch it as it came out and like loved it and consumed it completely. It's like not something that was on my radar, but when I watched it, I was like, I know why people watch this because there's always there's the mystery behind it. There's
this is probably the most
happen.
like hit play, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, I feel like this is a better example, Ryan, of what you were saying about Succession. I think if you dropped every episode of Succession, it would still dominate the conversation. This being weekly, I think, was really boosted by that. I think people were way more into this because it was something to talk about every week in kind of a lull in other TV.
Yeah.
And so people were talking about a Showtime show starring
I don't even
Christina
know how
Ricci.
they saw it. Like, they must, and I do not recommend this behavior, but they must have torrented, right? Like, how would they see this show?
What are they watching on Showtime? Tell me, what are they doing with that
It's a show
channel?
that flew so under the radar. I did not see it until it was trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
It also did this. It did this perfect thing of like coming out 10 weeks before Euphoria, so it just launched us directly into next year's winner of TV drama, Euphoria, very nicely, and becoming like whatever monoculture that we have. It was kind of Yellow Jackets then Euphoria for a solid like 18 weeks straight.
Yeah.
I legit thought Yellow Jackets was on Hulu because so many people were talking about it. When we went to watch it and it was on Showtime, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, people watch Showtime, but I guess that's like just showing
People
how
are now
compelling it is.
because of Yellow
Yeah.
Jackets.
Yeah, because of Yellow Jackets.
But all you need is that one show. Did you guys hear Paramount Plus's announcements the other day at the Critic Awards?
No.
thing? The guy who created not Yellow Jackets but Yellowstone, Taylor
Ooh.
Sheridan, he has been given 5 new shows for Paramount Plus.
Wow.
So
All about national
Congratulations.
parks.
Devil's Post Pile coming this summer.
Jellystone.
Did the music
Make me love it? Yes, it did. James.
Okay, but
Thank
all right,
you for
you're,
asking.
right. You're my age. I'm asking other people in the group. How did the music inform your viewing of this book, then, Katelynn?
Because there's such a thing as needle drop of like background music, and then there's such a thing as like music now.
Yeah.
I personally appreciated it. I love when music is almost its own character or part of the scene or aesthetic of a show, and I think it just emphasizes it. I think we could even talk about like music and It's a Sin. It does a similar thing where it builds
for
up
sure.
scenes. So for me, it worked very well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They did a thing that bugged me where they like the music was mostly great, but there was this scene where Natalie and her boyfriend were talking about Nirvana, and he's like, "Well, they're just so mainstream now. They moved to the big label." I'm like, it's sort of like, well, it's 1977, so Star Wars just came out, as we all know, and
By the way,
trying to build the time period for
Let's
you just by
establish this
dropping
as-
a line.
exactly.
I love you, and I love you more than anything, and you're my everything. Also, did you just hear Star Wars just came out?
Exactly. Dude, the guy wearing that Dead Kennedy shirt said more about the time period in which this was set than anything he said with his mouth.
Nobody would wear that shirt in whenever the Dead Kennedys came out. They would wear it in 1993.
Right.
And
Yes.
just try to front.
And I would be just as intimidated by them as I would have been if they were in the Dead Kennedys.
Yellow Jackets using music to establish like time periods and everything. WandaVision just uses color and black and white and sitcom references. I know a lot of people who did not enjoy the first episodes because of the slowness. Did anyone else feel that way? I thought it was great. I thought pacing was fantastic, but
I had a thing McKenna called Nick at Night, where that was
sure.
that was my college.
Yeah.
I would say that was more important than the actual colleges I went to because it taught me about TV history. So I really felt that like I Love Lucy, Mama's Family, and Married with Children were all basically made at the same time, and
interesting.
I learned about all of them. So yeah, for WandaVision to do this thing, which I think is, I feel like this is, I don't know, a left-handed compliment, but for Marvel to do something that is weird to me, like it's just so astonishing. Like, hey, you guys had an idea that isn't just like pumping out movies and TV shows, and you did it, and it worked. God damn. I have to stand up and applaud, even though it was like a B plus, you know?
Yeah, it was because so many of the other properties at this point are just like, and have you met my good friend Chewbacca? Come on in here, Chewbacca. And this, woo! What a Wookiee, right? And this one actually, had a take. It had an idea. And so I liked that the first few episodes were so invested in that idea, and then the Twilight Zone style feeling of when it would go wrong really worked. And honestly, for me, McKenna, when they moved away from that, every step that they took away from that, the show got worse for me until finally it was like, now we're back in the Marvel universe, and I was like, okay.
Even the Modern Family one? I thought the Modern Family
No,
one
I love the Modern Family one.
the more they moved away from sitcoms.
Yeah, anytime they were outside the bubble and it was like, what's she doing in there? We don't know. Let's let's send Rambo in.
I agree.
I was like, I felt myself really struggling to stay as engaged as when it was just
because Wanda Maximoff is fucked up in the same way that we are.
Exactly.
Like, this is how we do all of our thoughts.
Normally when it comes to something Marvel related, if there's not enough action or fight scenes or use of powers, I'm like, why are they doing this to us? This is why we watch this. This I didn't want to see them fight. I wanted to see them live their suburban lives.
And I mean, I love Catherine Hahn. Like, I'm a big Catherine Hahn boy, right?
Pop Filter Hall of Famer.
But she was most emblematic of this, which is that when she was in the sitcoms, she was really good. And then when she became Purple Witch Lady, she lost it big time. And it was embarrassing because I've never seen her fall down as a performer like that before.
It's because they were like, we need you to be like a 50s sitcom now. We need you to be like a Malcolm in the Middle character now. And then at the end, they were like, we need you to be a Marvel villain. You know what that's like? And she was like, that seems boring. Yeah, just do it. Just do it real quick. We're going to put some green screen behind you, and that'll be it.
And you're going to fly, and it'll be good.
And her costume looked weird. Like, I mean, it was such a failure, I think, when she really became the villain.
I think she's so stellar that it wasn't so obvious that it was a failure, but I think if you watch them so closely together, the episodes, and see her performance in the sitcom, it's much more highlighted. But I still think she was fantastic. I do think it's just the one highlighted her strength so much more.
And as far as music goes, it was Agatha all along. Might be the best song of like TV drama this year.
Yeah. And I 100% disagree, because I think as the sitcom goes on, you learn more about her character and learn more about the people. I never saw her as a villain when she was in the sitcom, obviously, because she was just a neighbor next door. She was just someone.
Yeah. That's the villain, dude. If you've ever
the
moved
nosy
in somewhere,
neighbor who pops in
the
at the
nosy
worst
neighbor
time?
is the villain of your life.
And that's why you have to gaslight her. Gladys Kravitz is the enemy.
When you're trying to like plan out when you're gonna leave your house so that you can like be sure to slip past them without being seen.
So as to not have the worst, most surface level but yet passive aggressive conversation you've ever had in your life.
Letting this grass grow a little long, huh? I love it. You're not too wrapped up in trying to make sure that everything looks nice. I wish I could be like that.
No, everybody has the same thing, which is a really nice-looking front yard, but you've gone against that. You've done something different.
Changing up the narrative. This is WandaVision's a show where we have two unique perspectives going on: the outside world, the inside world, and the falling part of the sitcom. Yellow Jackets, we have the past and the present. Was there any narrative or timeline you were more interested in staying in that we didn't?
I will say that I definitely wanted to stay in the past only. And every time I went to the future, or the present, I guess, I was a little bit bummed, but it was still great because it had Melanie Linsky, a future Pop Filter Hall of Famer for sure. I love her, but I want to stay on that island. And it made me think of Lost, but without all of my bad feelings about Lost.
Yep.
You know, like we all have this bad taste in our mouth, like a fucking dirty nacho about Lost. Yellow Jackets, like, oh God, it kept me going more than any drama on the bracket. Please give me the next episode.
Okay, wait. Melanie Linsky was in Yellow Jackets?
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have watched it.
Yeah.
She is the best. If you see her, you are guaranteed to be enjoying whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
I feel
also-
like Yellow Jackets was like 3 different shows.
Yep.
Because you did have the past, and then you had the wilderness, and then you had the present.
Yep.
And they were very much like different from each other, and were different movies, or like not movies, sorry, TV shows.
We said that
It's
we
like
weren't
a
going to
movie.
call them
I'm
movies.
sorry,
Yellow Jackets is
God
like a
damn
movie.
it, Caitlin.
but they were different
Broke
movies.
the one rule of the TV drama episode.
Did anyone else feel like it was jarring, jumping from like?
I didn't, and I thought
From
the casting
time
was
to time?
great. I thought that the Juliette Lewis to younger Juliette Lewis casting was great. I thought that Melanie Linsky to the younger Shauna was great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did not get jarred.
No, I 100% think the casting was great. It was just, I feel like it was jarring going from one
The storytelling.
the storytelling, the drama,
I
and
wasn't-
stuff to the real life like survival.
I wasn't jarred on content. I was more jarred by my own desire to stay in the past.
Yeah.
So I was jarred by my mind not wanting to catch up to present time period.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's a whole politician who was trying to become more of a politician.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What's happening over there?
Let's see what the kids are doing.
Yeah.
I always want Juliette Lewis to be better than she ever ends up being. And I know she's
Yeah.
fine, but I wanted her to be better because I really liked her character in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want her to, I don't know, she always just feels like she's kind of there. And I don't know. It didn't win. Everyone else worked. Christina Ricci ruled. She is so
Christina
creepy.
Ricci, I cannot believe how incredible Christina Ricci is.
Yeah.
We
I
just
was
did
gonna-
our 1991 season, and we did a career retrospective of Christina Ricci. And
Perfect.
what we came away from with the understanding was that she just works nonstop. She's
Yep.
a very hardworking actress. And I remember at the end of it, I was like, and she's going to be on a TV show called Yellow Jackets. And here we are.
But
Full circle.
like she is so it's so organic.
Yep.
And I get what you're saying, James. Juliette Lewis is kind of working. You can feel her working.
Yeah.
And Christina Ricci is just, I can't believe how much she devolves into this character.
Yeah. Also, I didn't like any of the men in the present.
Or outside of TV shows.
That's
That's
sort of how
just
the
a
present
regular
works.
Or in the
feeling.
Yeah.
past, or in the distant
Have you
past.
lived in the present?
The Dead Kennedys are pretty good.
Oh, what a cool kid.
Thank you. It's 2022. I'm talking about Dead Kennedys, like we do these days.
The dead Kennedy of our generation is Lincoln Park. So just so everybody deal with
Is
that.
it because of the name of a president?
I'm going to start. Yes, it is. Thanks, Caitlin.
All right. I think we've had quite a bit of a discussion on both WandaVision and Yellow Jackets, and I think this is going to be a tough one, but I think it's time for us to go to a vote. James, where are you headed? WandaVision or Yellow Jackets? Which one's
It's
moving
go-
forward?
This is gonna surprise you, but Yellow Jackets. I liked WandaVision fine, but Yellow Jackets ruled. It was like a movie. I'm joking. That was to piss off Ryan. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed it quite a lot.
See him off the podcast.
It did.
Ha ha ha! I am joking.
It did. I'm joking. Come on. I'm being I'm playing a character. It was like Lost, only with badass teenage girls, which would have made Lost way better if everyone had been a badass, like a lacrosse team or like a field hockey or soccer team. It would have been way better.
All right. Ryan, where are we headed?
I totally agree. I think that like the problems with Kevin Can Fuck Himself, which is the premise overruled the story. I think that Yellow Jackets didn't. It got so much better than its premise, and did all of these crazy things because of its confidence in its premise. That I'm going Yellow Jackets, Mac. It's 2-0.
2-0. Caitlin, are you going to line right up, or are you going to break this streak?
I'm ready to break the streak, Books, because Yellow Jackets was a show that I couldn't like. It was too jarring to go from each one for me personally. So WandaVision was beautiful and I loved it. And Grief, what is Grief but love persevering? So
Nerd.
WandaVision.
They said that in the
Funny
show.
place. Yeah, isn't that
right. That is one vote for WandaVision, which I did before I saw Yellow Jackets. I definitely thought could take down some stuff, but Yellow Jackets is the seed that's moving forward. WandaVision, we loved you while we had you. You just didn't pan out the same way we hoped. So Yellow Jackets is going to move forward. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will do some more talking.
What with a cliffhanger? Oh my god. What are they going to say?
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening so far. And let me just tell you that everything ahead of this commercial is much better than what came before it. That's my guarantee. While I have you here, let me tell you about a website. It's called yourpopfilter.com. And it's everything you need that's related to Pop Filter. Everything Mike, everything Ryan, everything Greg, everything Cassie, everything is there at yourpopfilter.com. While you're there, go to yourpopfilter.com/Amazon. Make that your new Amazon bookmark and do your shopping from there. That way, we get a little piece of the action, and Amazon doesn't. Make sure you're also listening to everything that Pop Filter has to offer, which includes the Superhero Show, a podcast that covers every single TV show that's based on a comic book or comic book property, and Movie of the Year, where we sit down and try and figure out what is the single greatest movie of any given year. That's Superhero Show. That's Movie of the Year. And that's yourpopfilter.com. Rate, subscribe, review. Bye.
In our third bracket, we are taking a look at our number 2 seed, the Underground Railroad, versus our number 7 seed, Squid Game. The Underground Railroad highlights the landscape of slavery in America while reimagines the Underground Railroad as an actual railroad through exceptional cinematography and artistry, while the Korean show Squid Game highlights how far individuals in debt will go to escape it by having over 400 participants play classic childhood games to the death for prize money. Both shows highlight what lengths people will go to escape terrible situations brought on either by society or their own poor choices. Greg, I ask you this. What do you think appeals to the audience more about their suffering? The macabre violence and murder set to children's songs and bright playground-like settings? Or the creative and artistic choices made in the Underground Railroad, such as wide shots and drawn-out silence?
I mean, honestly, I think that it's pretty clear that the sort of cartoonish violence that and sort of absurd situation of the Squid Game, even if it's like a metaphor for capitalism and everyday life and everything like that.
What?
I think it's pretty clear that sort of thing is more interesting to people or more palatable than the Underground Railroad, which, while relying on a lot of magical realism, the realism element of it is about the real horrors of American slavery. And I think, honestly, especially nowadays, that's like a hindrance for this show. This show is like the most beautiful, best show I think I've ever seen. And yet I think what will always harm its popularity or its acceptance is the fact that it admits no quarter for any bit of white culture that is attached, even peripherally, which is all of it, to slavery. So it's it is very, very upsetting to watch the Underground Railroad because it doesn't pull any punches. It doesn't say, well, let's take a long look at good white people from back in the day. It's no, honestly, even the white people that were trying to help out are sus, and the way that they do it
Some of the black people trying to help out are sus. Much less the white people.
And so I think that amount of reality currently in this political climate, not that many people want that much reality. They don't want to have to think about all these things. And Squid Game has at least the remove of, well, they're kind of playing hopscotch, and the violence is cartoonish, and there's big graphics up on the wall. Underground Railroad grabs a hold of you and is you're complicit. You're complicit. You just are. There's a line that connects you to this, and
all of the
Yes.
things that CTR is accusing teachers of doing,
Yes.
which they are not doing, is actually true in Underground Railroad. You have to you're gonna get your lapels grabbed, and you're gonna watch this shit.
It's the show you need to see, but the show that I don't think anyone can actually stomach.
It's very, very.
Was there magical realism in it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's a literal Underground Railroad.
Right. Okay, but that when I read the book and when I watched the thing, not to, But
Wow.
All right.
I believe,
kept
James, I think you picked up or you dropped this book that you dropped that you might want to.
I did because it's a recommendation to you. No, I kept expecting more. I was happy with the amount of that they did, but I feel like if you watch this as someone who doesn't have a good grasp of history and what happened, like many Americans, you could convince someone that this was all real, like all true.
I do think there's that. I do think there's that danger, certainly, but it compresses time and it compresses like the. It takes all of American time and American like spirit, and it compresses it into one new landscape.
Sure.
And that's what I think is the magical realism element. Like, for instance, there's skyscrapers at the same time that there's like slavery.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
So
it's almost like allegorical realism.
Yes. Yeah. It's a tour through the dreamscape created by Americana and its connection, inextricable connection to slavery, right?
Yeah.
And so so much of it is completely fake, like fake places. But the violence is real, or fake institutions, but they mirror real institutions that existed through time, maybe not at the actual time.
And as
that the show is
dangerous as
set.
I think it is that people might truly think the Underground Railroad was an actual railroad, and this is exactly how it occurred historically, I still don't think it mars the message that the show is getting across. So if people take away this is all absolute true, they're still taking away what's important about the show and valuable about the show.
That fucking feeling that you have after watching it, that's real.
Yeah.
That's not fake. That's not magical realism. That is just actually real. And we should not be going to Amazon or Barry Jenkins for our history lessons. We should be going to our schools that should be allowed to teach facts that happened in real life.
Do you think that there's a danger that the opposite would happen too? That they would think that, oh, well, yeah, but they didn't actually do that, all those medical things with freed slaves and all that
but
stuff.
It's a confusing question for me, but I don't think it's Barry Jenkins' responsibility, right? Like, or the author of the book. I do think that they should make the show that makes us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's not their responsibility. And it's funny because I went in to reading the book because I read the book first before I watched the show. No, Brad,
yeah, we know. You read the book.
I know
you read the book.
I thought it was going to be more like, whoa, there's this technology in this time where there wasn't technology. Isn't that amazing? And the fact that wasn't it, that it was all still kind of just an extra layer to the shit sandwich of the slave trade in America and stuff, was actually kind of allegorically fair. Like, I went in being like, come on, entertain me. What's going to be this cool? Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. And that worked. That worked for me from what versus calling it, like, thinking of it as magical realism, where it was like, yeah, but there weren't skyscrapers then. It was sort of a bait and switch, but in a good way. What's that called? Like a surprise. It was a surprise.
Switch and bait.
I think it's a great thing too, though, that this show, it's not made to be entertaining. It's made to make you think and talk about it afterwards, or dive into more afterwards. Is a strength that it plays.
I do think it's supposed to be the first stop that you make yourself on pursuing, whether or not you want to look into, like, what is real in this, what is fake in this, and if you can't tell the difference, then it's probably a good opportunity to be like, I should go discover the difference.
Yeah. And
I thought the Blues Brothers wrote all of those songs. Turns out it was different black artists that wrote all of those songs.
But that was the one time that happened.
Ryan, do you remember that movie First Reformed?
Yes, I do.
There's a part in it where he's like, this is a stop on the Underground Railroad, and then they like pull open the floor, and it's just this dirt pit. And I remember thinking, like, well, that's not like,
where did the train go?
If you're gonna have people in there, why is it just a exposed dirt pit? And this show is about how, like, even if you are helping people and you feel so noble, there's a good chance you're going to treat them like freaking garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're trying to, like, save yourself and save them, you're still going to end up being, like, bad in many of the same ways.
Yeah.
Well, and you can't try to also be the good guy. Like, you have to just try to do the good thing.
Well, there's the idea of, you are still a racist, but right now you're doing something that is helpful towards ending slavery, but you're still doing it for the wrong reasons. But it's good that you're doing it, but it's not great. You're maintaining systemic racism, but also freeing slaves, but also back and forth.
That's so much. That's such a further step than going from let's say I don't know, somebody on Law and Order to Walter White, and then Walter White to the protagonist of this show of like, man, you do think you're doing good, but we also have to deal with all of the stuff that also comes with you as a character, all of the stuff that comes from that time, and all of the stuff that just comes from like, if I'm doing this, therefore I get to do all of this other stuff. This is why I don't like people who pick up litter, because if people pick up trash, that means they're doing mostly other awful things. We've talked about this before, right?
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Is that because you don't believe that cons are good people, Ryan? Just because those people are picking up trash on the side of the freeway, they just made one mistake. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad people.
Look,
this is
I
a
be
sting.
persecuted for one mistake?
One mistake can set your whole life on a terrible journey, and Ryan will judge you through it all. And we see a lot of characters in Squid Game making one mistake that sets them on a path to being okay with their neighbors just, dying as they sleep in bunks next to them and play games. Do you think that this show definitely has a interesting mix of like what debt does to a person and just a lot of gore and violence? Do you think the level of gore and violence not done in the same artistic way as Underground Railroad takes away from you kind of learning the same lessons?
Katelynn,
the white people do.
Katelynn, this had a lot of gore.
Yeah.
Was it okay?
No. No, it was not. Because I immediately got drawn into this because of all the amazing colors that there were. And I am...
There's a lot of
and
pink.
shapes, right?
so many
Greens,
colors,
pinks.
shapes. There's like dolls and stuff and marbles. And I'm like drawn into it because I'm like, oh, I want to be in this. I want to be in the conversation that everyone's talking about. But then I start watching it and it's like, this is so gory. Like when they play tug of war and people just fall off and just like splat on the floor. It's like, it is so incredibly gory.
Are slides forever ruined from you from seeing that guy just get a bullet wound and blood stain the slide all the way down?
This whole thing was just like, I don't want to watch this gore.
I don't know if I've ever reacted to a show like this because I love violence. I really do. I think
we
it's
all know.
cool.
Everyone knows that about you.
Yeah. Like,
Sometimes almost it seems like too much, Ryan.
I don't like committing it in real life. That's what I have to do. But when I get some free time, I like to watch it in TV shows and movies. That's what I get to do. It's the violence, and this show was this show made to like just make me upset? I fucking hated this show.
This
Yeah.
show was what I thought the movie Sallow, which we did cover on the 1971.
We did.
Was
McKenna, do
going
you remember that?
to be. I thought Sallow was going to be like this, and somehow this show disturbed me more than that band movie.
But I was not disturbed. I was disturbed as to like why everybody who binged this at the end, because I feel like Quarantine is sort of bookended by Tiger King and Squid Game. Right?
Yeah.
And I missed it. I missed the conversation. I missed when everybody was hanging out talking about this. But this was so fucking annoying. It was... I remember the scene where everybody's like, well, I think everyone's going to go kill everybody, so we should stay awake. And then it's just strobe lights for 15 minutes. The character of Han, the woman who everybody says is like 50... but she's actually like 27. I can't remember a character who I more wished for her to just get launched off the fucking planet.
Wait a minute. Oh, the right. Okay, sorry, I forgot
the one who screams a lot.
Okay, right. Okay, yes, I agree. I was like,
not the North
you
Korean
wanted
refugee.
my girl to. Okay, right. Okay,
But ultimately, it comes down to a lot of people at bars, or not at bars because we weren't allowed, but on Zoom saying Squid Game makes you think. And now I wish I could go back in time and be like, about what? Like, what is this show fucking saying that you didn't already definitely know? How is it not being your exact thought process the entire time?
And is it enough for a complete show? That's my thing. It's like, fundamentally, the show seems to be, it seems like the message could be summed up in a couple of lines, right? Like, capitalism sets us against each other.
Right.
Like, does it deliver more deeply on that, or are we not the audience that it's intended for? Like maybe we're missing some of the messages because, like, for instance, we're not picking up on the character archetypes, or we look at the Americans that pop in at the end and we're like, these are weird clownish figures. But I am closer to Ryan than I am to the popular conception, which is that I really liked it early on, and I would say from episode 5 on, I got a little less into it.
And what an opportunity to like have surprises, right? Like the whole conceit of like you can go home and everybody does.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
everybody comes back.
Which was amazing. That was like that was the best moment of the entire
Yeah,
series.
you got
right?
the chance to leave and realize like how disgusting you were being.
And everybody comes back with little secrets in their pocket, whether it be a knife or my brother is dead or my brother's missing or whatever. Everybody comes back. And then to find out that like it will literally every single step will be exactly like I knew it would be the entire time. Like this show has nothing to offer.
But isn't it? I mean, I don't mean to be that guy. I know that this is a pretty annoying way to say conversationally, but I thought that was part of the whole thing was that it was predictable and they couldn't escape the
even knowing
predictability
what
of
was going to happen, they
of
couldn't
their
do
thing.
anything
Like
about
he knew
it.
they were going to come back because they always come back. Why wouldn't they?
That
Violence
part
is addictive.
that part's fine. I'm talking about the part where the black mask guy takes off his mask and we're
Oh,
like,
that guy. That whole part sucked. Everything sucked about every part of that.
to have everybody come back is predictable. To have everybody come back with new things in their pockets, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
To have none of those surprises play out.
To have one
Well, if
unaccounted
you
for
lose them
character.
so early on, organ harvesting, we get rid of like all of the little secrets. The people who come back with strategies or secrets all die off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Anything that was like a twist on the show, I feel like didn't actually deliver. Anything that was kind of telegraphed worked. Anything that was kind of a twist was dumb.
And
Well,
annoying as Squid Game was to come up against this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
Like that's so like everything you were trying to say is going to get dwarfed and screamed over.
You were very shadowed by the importance of and the necessity and the just overall artistry of Underground Railroad. It's an
Do you-
unfortunate
do you-
herring.
When everyone talked about Squid Game, it was always like, doesn't capitalism suck? And it's like,
Is this a new
obviously,
idea?
like how, okay, no, this is not new. And I feel like that's what Squid Game is. It's like, it's just literally reinstating a fact that we've just been saying over and over and over again. And it's not like anything
But
new.
we could say
Besides the
the
colors,
same
I love the
argument
colors.
of like, wasn't slavery terrible? But we needed
Yeah.
to see it highlighted in the way it was.
It's
in
different.
Underground Railroad.
I've seen countless slave movies. Like I've seen so many movies about slavery, and I have never seen what I have seen in Underground Railroad.
It's actually doing something new and starting the conversation in a really important way.
And shot by a master. You know, there.
Yeah.
We had a master who said, my next movie is not going to be a movie. And I know that we're trying to separate those terms of movie and drama.
Breaking your
but
own rules.
Would you say it's like a movie, Ryan? Would you say that Underground Railroad was kind of like a movie?
I would not say it's a movie, but I do think that it does have an unfair advantage because a lot of these are under time constraints because our second season has to come out this year and our third season has to come out the next year. And Barry Jenkins did just get an unlimited budget and an unlimited amount of time. So in that way, it's a little unfair, but man, did he fucking shoot
It
the
was a
shit
little
out of it.
jarring because it'd be like an hour and 17 minutes of a TV show and then 20 minutes of the same TV show.
I've seen every episode of Arrow and I've seen every episode of Underground Railroad. And let me tell you, they are different things.
All right.
Wait, which one did I watch?
I think it's time for us to put this to a vote and decide which one is moving forward. I don't think we're going to have too much trouble with this one, but it was a good discussion we had. Ryan, what's moving forward?
Underground Railroad is, I think, the thing of 2021.
Greg.
yeah, I agree. This is one of the most exciting because it's intellectually exciting more than like entertainingly exciting, but it's such an interesting, dense story. And Squid Game was cool or whatever, but outclassed by the Underground Railroad.
And James.
I probably like Squid Game. Maybe it sounds like more than everyone here. And I think that they messed it up by forgetting what pieces they had on the board and then telling two different endings. I really like Stephen King. I think it was very Stephen Kingian sort of setup and conclusion because he doesn't always end his books well. But all that aside, Underground Railroad, it's almost unfair.
It's absolutely unfair. I think Squid Game could have a bigger leg up against some of the other shows that we have discussed. But Underground Railroad is moving forward. We're going to take
I vote too for Underground Railroad. Thank you.
On my log, it says you do not vote. I'm so sorry. It says,
Oh, okay.
my record says you have no say in this. This comes from Ryan.
Okay.
Blame him.
That's okay.
But that is going to be the one that moves forward. Katelynn, thank you for your very important final vote and helping us move forward. Underground Railroad.
I hate this.
We are going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to discuss our final two shows that also make some interesting commentary on society. All right, and we are back to discuss our final bracket. In this final bracket, we have our number 3 seed, The White Lotus, going up against our number 6 seed, It's a Sin. The White Lotus follows the vacation lives of several rich people and individuals who and the individuals who run a tropical resort in a week-long time period, which includes robbery, murder, and unhappy relationships. While It's a Sin chronicles the lives of 4 young adults, 3 of whom are gay and living in London during the AIDS crisis. In 5 episodes, we see the highs of sexual freedom and building a family of choice, constantly shadowed by the deadly virus that is killing the gay community in large numbers. Both shows are social commentaries on society and specific groups of people. Ryan, what commentary was needed more in 2021?
Good question, Mac. I love these two shows up against each other because both shows are like, look at this group of characters. You having fun? Fuck you.
Watch their lives be destroyed.
I like the more necessary show is It's a Sin for sure, because it's a thing that like we have not dealt with yet as a country, where we were like, well,
That happened.
you know, they could all just kill themselves, right?
Yeah.
And that'll be fine. And this
Yeah.
this takes place in a different country. This is not America, but still, they have different terms. Like, we don't have AIDS yet. They have different terms for it, and it's like just a thing that might wipe out gay people. And if the British or American government comes out strong against, like, we should probably figure out how to stop this, then they're like soft on gay
They're
people.
supporting.
And
Yeah.
they're like
infringing freedom and
right, and so therefore we can't say anything.
Yeah.
And then we have White Lotus, which is a bunch of white people just saying, like, let's act as white. We're on vacation, and when you're on vacation, you are you. You turned up to 11, and when you turned up to 11, you are the whitest fucking white people ever. And does that have any ramifications? What a battle this is!
I do have good news, Ryan. I just realized where I know that kid from the Underground Railroad from, and it's the
he's
kid
in that
from the
too.
White Lotus.
I had to do that looking up last night.
I'm like, where
Yeah.
do I know you from, kid? I'm watching Underground.
He
so
seems awful,
familiar.
but he seems awful without facial hair, and I can't picture
Wait, which kid? I don't even know who you're talking
the
about.
guy. Young Rutledge. Sorry, was the brother. Sydney
Oh.
Sweeney.
Yeah, exactly. The kid that's like an iron worker with his dad, and he's like, his dad's not that into slavery, and he's like, dude, maybe we should get way more into slavery. Is also the kid that like has all his devices and has to sleep on the beach and from White
Or in the
Lotus.
kitchen.
Oh, right.
You know.
Yeah.
I love these two shows on HBO Max appealing to boomers. Like, this will be a good time. And then thinking that the more they watch, the more they'll learn. But then remembering that they're literally incapable of learning, and they will be always as disgusting as they've ever been.
The reason I think I am inclined to vote more for It's a Sin than The White Lotus at the moment is because the whole point of The White Lotus seems to be, couldn't we foreground these marginalized voices? And isn't it always the reality that the marginalized voices don't get foregrounded, and instead they get sort of shifted to the background? And then The White Lotus does that as well.
While foregrounding.
Which
the
I think is
white
part of the point, is like, even we're going to do that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I have to say, that left me with a quasi-bad taste in my mouth, the way that they seem to admit that this should be the story of Hawaii, and instead they don't do that because the point is we never do. But then we never do if even when we're making the point, we still don't do it. I don't know. It's
Like,
a Sin
it
is
was
that...
too successful of a satire.
Yeah, It's a Sin is at least like, okay, this is about this group of people who kind of were forgotten and left on like to just basically die and to figure out things on their own. And now people who are part of that community are going to tell that story, and we're going to foreground their message, you know?
like, would it have been better for Mike White to only focus on the Hawaiians on the island, and just maybe, hopefully, this story of the Hawaiians on the island will touch.
Or who's the actress from Insecure, Natasha Rothwell? She plays like she's Jennifer Coolidge's like buddy who works at the spa, right?
Yeah.
Her character is so kind of bland and boring, and she herself is going through like the being erased by Jennifer Coolidge, and the show kind of does it to her too, and it just
praying that Jennifer Coolidge will be that
will
white
be the
savior.
fun will fund the spa, even though she seems like so wishy-washy and like she's not going to do it, and so like that character ended up being like way less interesting than the character of Kelly from Insecure.
Well, everyone's
I know, but when we see what the actress can do, when we see what the actress can do, it's like as long as her character is three-dimensional, she can give you an amazing performance. But the White Lotus was like so much more interested in being like, yeah, we should, but instead, I don't know. I'm just saying the same thing over and over again.
I see that, but I think the main thing was like her hinging once again. I am once again hinging my hopes on a rich white person to come and help me. And I'm not disgusted by the fact that she eventually didn't. I'm disgusted by the fact that I knew that she wouldn't, and yet I hoped for it.
Yeah.
It's like the Squid Game.
Yeah, totally.
Like some sort of squidded game.
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch episodes where they went to Hawaii, it was a 3-part episode, and that had more Hawaiian representation than what I saw in the White Lotus.
I honestly, you could have put them on any island or any vacation resort, and it would have been.
I forgot they were on Hawaii.
Yeah, it would have absolutely been interchangeable. And I will say, like, I did definitely click next episode for mostly like Jennifer Coolidge because they did make her interesting.
Yes.
But with It's a Sin, it was everything that had me clicking the next episode. It was all of the characters, all of the just drama and trauma that it was going through, but without losing
the joy, right? Like, I mean, that's what I think It's a Sin did really well. It's like it captured the joy, and that helped heighten how sad everything was.
So much more to see them towards the end just going to funeral after funeral after funeral, because we saw them living their best and finally finding a community where they were accepted.
Yeah. And then to watch that all disintegrate, like right in their moment where they have it, is just, whew.
That line where
music played a huge part on this one.
Oh yes.
Even the first one, like I think it's the first episode maybe, or the second episode maybe, where Neil Patrick Harris is
first
in there.
episode for sure.
First episode,
which that was the only way the show could get funded. They were like, you have to find a star, or we won't pay for it.
Find
a gay star.
If only there was a gay star.
And they said, well, we have Neil Patrick Harris for like 10 minutes.
Done.
And they were like, fine,
that's
we'll
gonna
pay
be
for
all.
it.
That'll be
because
hilarious.
I guess then the first like 30 minutes of that episode is just like pure joy.
Yeah.
It's like these people finally finding a place where they are accepted, and then seeing someone else who has been living this out for 10 years and seeing them like, hey, that could be me, and then watching them
he does predict
literally
their future
die
in every unfortunate way.
Well, the whole first episode sets
Or just
it up.
like, there's been so many stories about like, oh, I'm going to college and I will be the person that I am, but like, there's not in a way where like, I already know I'm gay before I go to college, and then but my parents will not let me be that. So then college or like life after your the home that you grew up in is so much more important. So much crazier.
And
I just
100% agree. They give these people so much joy and so much life and so much to look forward to. So when it's taken away, it hurts so much more.
Remember when he threw the condoms off the boat?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh,
I just thought of that,
Shiny.
and it just broke my heart so much just now, in the moment, right now.
Because he's like, I don't have to worry about this. One thing that's nice about being a gay man is you don't have to worry about getting anybody pregnant.
No pregnancy.
So
No, not even
I do.
considering.
There's something I want to talk to you guys about. This show has this like through line is a strong word, but I'll say through line of how one of the characters is like, oh, I will go out and I will sing, and I will go la, and then the rest of the characters do that to each other. That's so fucking annoying. That was
it's
awful.
theater stuff. Have you ever been part
It's
of a
that theater community.
Theater
I
kids
love
are
people.
fucking.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I was immediately going to come in here and say like, oh my God, isn't that cute? Like,
No,
okay,
it's
do
awful.
I
that.
loved it.
So
It was
annoying.
these people
loved
who
it.
hadn't learned how to necessarily show their
Yes.
affection, and that was their "I love you" be safe out there. Good luck with your life. Because they had been
Start
in
a
communities
podcast.
where they couldn't have that same level of acceptance and exception. So I think it was a great little touch on real life. I had things I did that with friends, and it was dumb, sure, but it was that connection.
No, McKenna, it was very dumb. It was doubly dumb. But the reason why law comes into play is because of the main actress who was on
Years and Years. Yeah.
The year
She's
before this.
Played by her character's name is Jill.
Jill.
Yeah. Bill, yeah.
Jill changes her law as she is going down the drain, knowing that all of her friends are going to die for maids. So her law just gets more and more. It goes from law to law to law. Like, you can watch it like
From law to
progress.
It's a lot harder.
Lots
but I
of
think
law.
it still emphasizes this thing that it's so much harder for her to say, I love you, be safe, knowing that it's no longer true. It still carries the same message, but the emotional weight of what she's trying to deliver with it is harder.
Even though I know, and she's struggling with the fact like that she's a straight woman, knowing that they're going to go out and kill themselves, knowing that like they are partly responsible, but also every government is also allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Just her watching this happen.
It's that thing where
her
like
watching, but also
if you- if-
actively taking a part and trying to stop it. She's
Oh,
not
yeah.
just
Right.
a witness.
So much so that like mothers get annoyed at her.
She's like, get me the forbidden manuals from America about this virus. I thought that was very impressive when she's like, go get me literature about this. You're going to be like across the pond.
They're actually talking about it. It's actually on the news over there. Give me the stuff they're writing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody else think of Pose? This kind of reminded me of Pose in the fact that like early on you're getting like this is like kind of like awkward pain that turns into this beautiful community that turns back into. I mean, It's a Sin is like the perfect name for this, really, because like the second episode opens up with him like saying why HIV is not a thing and he's not going to like give into it, and he's going through the club and he's just like turning dudes around and kissing them on the lips, and everyone's like having so much fun, and it's just like this really is such a sin that like something came and like attacked this way of life for this group of people who have finally found some acceptance in the world.
It
Finding
really
a
is like
place where they
all
could
Christians
show
came
themselves.
together and thought of AIDS.
Yeah.
And then shot it on them. Like, this is so gross what you're doing. Like, you guys are just kissing everyone. You're kissing everyone.
Who's had
You
it
should
too
die.
easy for too long?
Gave so many people some stupid way to justify why this lifestyle shouldn't be
Yeah.
accepted. It gave such a power to.
And it was
I-
also kind of interesting.
I can't believe...
Go, Ryan.
Greg,
It was
Greg,
also
I was thinking that it was. Oh, sorry.
it was also kind of interesting watching it in the context of COVID, I have to say, because it was about it was
for
a
sure.
pandemic story, and I thought part of what was interesting is I remember there being shifting attitudes in certain political sectors when the early numbers were coming back about like who was disproportionately affected by COVID. There seemed to be a legitimate shift when it was like, wait, it's what communities that are really getting rocked by this? Oh. Well, is this a big issue then? Is it as big as we thought it
well,
was
then,
before?
therefore, I don't care.
And that, I mean,
Right.
that really, like, I thought It's a Sin picked up all the pandemic vibes
For sure.
and, like, kind of worked them
Yep.
back into what, in many ways, for a lot of people, was the original pandemic.
And I think that what makes this so successful in 2021 is we know all that. We feel all that. And so when he has to gown up in that first episode to see Neil Patrick
Yeah.
Harris, it's like, this isn't for your safety. This isn't for my safety. This is for yours, like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
The thing that they did, I said in Yellow Jackets, I didn't like how they established the time by like referring to whatever. When in the first episode, when like he was doing something up here, but in the background, the two people were talking about, have you heard about this thing that's going on in New York? It's this brand new thing. I don't know. It's whatever. I got a chill. It was like Michael Myers appeared on screen and just walked by. Because they didn't address it. They just had it.
It's not like the movie Outbreak or Contagion where like they're inventing a new disease. They're going back in time, and we have that information.
Yeah, we know exactly
Well,
what's
the
going
other
to play
thing,
out,
like-
but we're still so scarred and like scared to see this happen.
Yeah.
The other thing that I
It's-
couldn't believe 6 episodes could do, and I don't know how far you guys made it, but the other thing that I couldn't believe that 6 episodes could do is that if you watch early seasons of Mad Men or The OC, the 2 greatest dramas of all time, or anything, Friday Night Lights or whatever you're watching, anytime in the 3rd or 4th season, terrible stuff is happening and you're remembering good times.
Yeah.
But that's seasons.
Yes.
Seasons of episodes. in this show, you will remember moments from the first 7 minutes of the first episode. And like, there were good times. Mm-hmm. And I have never seen a show like build a character base and a clique, like a crew. And like, I was there for when this crew was super happy in
Ryan,
6 episodes.
That's the law.
That's the law,
That's
dude.
the
Seriously,
law.
I agree with James here. Like when the guy that works at the
LA,
Taylors,
not LAW.
when
It's not the fucking
when he
law.
comes back
It's
and
not
says
that.
law,
I thought you guys were being judged. I am the law.
everything you're talking about is encapsulated in one 2-letter word.
Fuck the law.
Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think there's just so and
I mean, White Lotus is going to win this because of the law. So, but I'm sorry, McKenna, keep going.
the way it does that quick 7 minutes of highs, but it's also just that constant whiplash you almost get from humor and love and then tragedy. Like
Yep.
we have that scene where Roscoe pees in the coffee and gets his hurrah over that moment, and you're just like, fuck yes, and they're going to the protest, and then the very next second, Richie reveals that he has AIDS to his best friends, and we're sitting in the back of the police van with them in that
I
moment.
mean, there's another thing that happens too, which is, and this is a cheat. Like, the show is amazing, but there's a cheat where it says, like, in Law and Order style, 1984, London, they're gay. We're like, oh, fuck.
Wait.
There's gonna be bad stuff ahead for them.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
It's not trying to hide it because it knows that's not the big reveal. That's not the big secret of this show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't harm it in any way. And in fact, I prefer those like straightforward, here's the year, here's the city, here's what we're moving
Me
forward.
too.
If that's not going to be the big plot moving forward or secret behind it, we know.
Yeah.
Because it really isn't. And, like, that's what I love about these 6-episode British TV shows is that, like, AIDS is running rampant in this show, and yet it's always in the background because they are, like, we're here to hang out with these 6 or 7
Yep.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just like
Yep.
White Lotus.
Yes, just like
Nope.
White Lotus, where we're here to hang out with these, I don't know, few families. And
8, 9. I guess
Can-
it doesn't matter.
If you told the premise of these two shows and said one of them has just a dick in the first 10 minutes of the show, which would you guess is probably going to be, and why would you be wrong because it's White Lotus?
Yeah. I was really surprised by that dick, to
just
be honest.
a close-up dick. Like, I was
Yeah.
surprised. It was a
I would
surprise dick
ask
for
which
sure.
one's on HBO, but I see that these are both on
they're
HBO.
both
Yeah.
there.
HBO is the home of the flaccid penis at the moment.
To be fair, they both have dicks in the first episode.
They both have
And I
dicks,
didn't... And
but the focus of
yeah.
one dick is sexual exploration. The focus of the other is swollen testicles.
Cancer.
So-
New rule. No show makes the bracket from here on out unless they have a fucking fat
Get
dick
a
in the
wa-
first 7
Dude,
minutes of the
just
first
get a
episode.
wang in
right.
your
not
show.
even worth watching if it doesn't have.
Can I say maybe new episode, maybe a new installment of Best of the Year?
Best
Can
wang?
I tell you guys, when I was a kid,
Best
when I
wang.
was a kid, I was so stoked to see a wiener because that means that so much grosser shit was about to happen. Like, you don't show a wiener unless you're about to like show some gross stuff.
I'm the same way, Ryan, but instead of gross stuff, I was like, well, if we're looking at wieners, we're going to be looking at boobs in no time.
Well, that's what I meant, Greg. I meant boobs, the grossest of the gross.
My lifelong mission to see boobs.
See?
Let's see some boobs.
All right. In this show, we definitely see a lot of dicks. I don't know if we ever see boobs in It's a Sin. I can't recall ever seeing boobs, though, so that might be a knock against it. But
That's the true sin.
I think, weighing with that on our minds, we do have to come to a vote.
Did you just say wang with that?
Weighing
Pee-pee.
was on the brain. Ryan, what are you voting for?
As much as I love it, the law thing killed me. I'm going with the White Lotus.
All right. Greg, what's your vote?
I really enjoyed White Lotus. There's not bad shows on this bracket, but It's a Sin I thought was so beautiful and so powerful. And
And you watched all of it, right? You got all the way through.
I to be honest, I did not get all the way through. I let the dramas really get
Oh.
away from me this year, and so I haven't seen all of it. And I have seen all of White Lotus, but I don't know. It's a Sin just did more for me in a dramatic sense than White Lotus did.
All right, James.
I hated everyone on White Lotus. I only made it 2 episodes in, but that's where I'm going to stop on that one because they were all
Yes,
assholes.
you're right. You got
Yes,
that one
you're
right.
right.
And It's a Sin. Everyone ruled, even if they were annoying and saying law. So it's a sin.
Katelynn, what are you voting for?
Well, first of all, I like to make a stand that I love the law. I thought it was cute.
I love the law.
I love the
Everyone
law.
knows that Katelynn is a big fan of the law.
Yeah, I'm a big law fan. And White Lotus, to be honest, it kind of bored me. Though, like the pacing of it, like I couldn't handle it. I did watch a lot more than I expected because I just wanted to know who was,
who was in that box,
who died. I needed to know, but
They
I ended up
imply
just
it's the
Googling
wife. They give you that right away that it can't be, but
Yeah, no. So I definitely
I
go
hope
with
it's
It's a
that
Sin. It was definitely more
fucking
compelling
NC.
for me.
all right. And a landslide, just losing one vote. It's a Sin is going to move forward.
Hey,
Law.
Ryan fought the law and the law
The
won.
law won out, which shows it should be cherished, and we were right to support it. That concludes our first round of votes.
Woo!
Moving forward into our second round, we have Succession, Yellow Jackets, The Underground Railroad, and It's a Sin. When we return, we will see which of those 4 shows becomes our top 2021 drama. All right, welcome back. We are down to our final 4 TV dramas from 2021, and it is time to determine what the top TV drama was. In our very first bracket, we have our number 1 seed hanging on and pulling down a lot of votes, Succession, going up against the number 13th seed, a show that apparently a lot of people have not appreciated enough since it is our number 13th seed, Yellow Jackets. And we're just going to dive right into a vote. Greg, which show is moving forward in your opinion?
For me, it's Succession.
I think we can see that coming. James, what are you voting for?
Succession, I guess.
It's a little heartbreaking because Yellow Jackets is still fantastic. And
If you had seen listeners, if you had seen his face, you'd be like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
Might need to ask a follow-up
do
question.
you feel like this is the right choice? But the
Do you
vote
feel like you
is
have to
locked
do
in.
this? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the board has met, and it's like we have a quorum, and it's like I've made a back alley deal, and it's just like I feel locked into this.
What do
and I
you
don't
get out of it?
Exactly.
The board is good at that. They're like, you
This
do
is
this
what's
for
happening.
us, and end of conversation. Bye.
Yeah.
Be happy with it. All right, Ryan, what is moving forward?
I didn't finish Yellow Jackets, and I feel like that if I did, I would be so desperate for this Lost reunion, like to get Lost back, but then also my favorite genre of anything, which is high school cheerleaders, Bring It On being the best movie of all time.
Yes.
But I
They
mean,
weren't cheerleaders, they were soccer
they
players.
they were the athletes, Ryan.
yeah. Hey, football players, why don't you cheer for the Clovers? Or the Toros, if you're white, I guess.
Right. Sorry, I forgot we were.
I mean, Succession was the thing of 2021, so it's Succession.
Yes. And Katelynn.
Yeah. Succession. Yeah.
All right. Succession moves forward. Yellow Jackets, we appreciated what you did and what you brought to us. And you made it real far. So good job. And our second bracket. Do I take a break? I'm so sorry.
No, keep going.
Continue.
Our second bracket. We have the Underground Railroad going up against It's a Sin. I think this is a very tough bracket for all of us as well. Both shows are doing a lot, and both shows are done very, very well. And this one, for me personally, very tough choice. But Greg, what are you voting for?
Yeah, love them both, obviously, but Underground Railroad just... I don't think we've ever seen anything like this on TV before, and it just feels too big. It's a Sin, a great show, but just not quite as groundbreaking as Underground Railroad.
All right, James, what has your vote?
This is a tough vote. I don't know. I thought it would be. I thought I would feel more strongly for Underground Railroad than I do. I like it.
Having
It's
read the
beautiful.
book.
I did. I don't know if you guys knew this. I wasn't going to bring it up again, but since you brought it up, I did read the book, and I mean, maybe it's because I read the book, and so I sort of know where we're going with it. Maybe I don't know. I think it's a sin.
All
for me.
right. That is one for Underground Railroad, one for It's a Sin. Ryan, which way are you voting?
As writer of the novel It's a Sin, based
Yes.
on the TV
What's his
show,
name? What's his name?
based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire, for me, this is all about, and TV drama is different than film, but to get a filmmaker at the top of his game directing a TV show, it's sort of all done for me. Like, there's no... It's a Sin is a wonderful character hangout story that has a ton of drama, but it is a screenwriter show. And it is an actor show, and the director is just like, I'll film it all, and I'll make sure it's good. But holy shit. Underground, I've never seen anything like Underground Railroad. I can't believe what he was able to do with this, so I am going with the director of Moonlight made a TV show. That's going to be my pick, McKenna.
All right.
I think you just said why I did my pick. I think you just outlined my decision too. That's really interesting.
Because you don't care about filmmaking or slavery? Is that what you're saying?
No, I care about the AIDS epidemic. I'm not sure why you don't like gay people. So, no, I think that a screenwriter's show and a character-based show adds up to why I wouldn't. Yeah,
and typically, like, that's what we're dealing with, right? Like,
yeah.
But even with our aforementioned Succession has that shot of the year of the three siblings on that like three crossroad thing. Like, you do need to find directors at some point.
I will say though, It's a Sin does not lack. It's not terribly directed.
No,
nothing that got this far
it's just
in.
Going up against Underground
It's in the
Railroad,
top four,
everything
McKenna.
looks pale.
Yeah.
In comparison.
I have to make choices.
Wait, did you say everything is pale in comparison to Underground Railroad? I just wanted to point that out. Did you? Okay.
I did say that.
Okay. Great. Just want to make sure.
Katelynn, what's your vote?
Yes. So my vote. So I think that It's a Sin is easier to watch and more people will watch it. So that's why I'm going to say It's a Sin is a winner.
All right. So we've got 2 for 2. And that puts me in the voting situation. I do think It's a Sin is fantastic. It's definitely the one I clicked play faster. I had an easier time watching through and through. However, I do have to put my vote to Underground Railroad. I think it's doing something that no TV show has successfully done quite as well or before in the same way. And that's worth noting and voting for. So Underground Railroad will move forward and go up against Succession.
Noting and voting. I think that's a good catchphrase for the show.
All right. We are at our final bracket, our final vote to determine what is the top 2021 drama of the year. And that is Succession up against, that's our number 1 seed, Succession, up against our number 2 seed, The Underground Railroad. And it seems like a predictable stacking 1 against 2, but honestly, it's not. There were a lot of other shows that could have made a run for this title. These 2 shows were fantastic. So I think we just need to put it to a vote. Ryan, what is the best 2021 drama, Succession or The Underground Railroad?
I mean, Mac, like, to be number 1 versus number 2 is... I'm so glad that we got to talk about all these 6 other shows, first of all. Mm-hmm. But this is it, right? Like, this is sort of what we were talking about in the intro of, like, when it comes to TV drama, what is it? Is it this impeccable binge mode of, like, give me more? Mm-hmm. And Succession is that of our generation. Like, probably since The Sopranos, Succession is that versus, hey, Jeff Bezos gave me X amount of $1 million to go shoot whatever I want for as long as I want. And when it comes down to that, I have to go with what made me gasp filmmaking-wise instead of what made me gasp at the end of each episode wise. You know, like how TV drama is supposed to do of like, oh, give me the next one. I have to go with the master filmmaker. I have to go with Underground Railroad.
All right. That's 1 vote for Underground Railroad. James, what are you voting for?
I realized when I was watching Succession at one point that it was basically the exact same as Game of Thrones, but with different costumes and a different setting. It's like the same plot.
I think they should do a feudal episode or season where they literally it's like medieval times and they are at medieval times.
Or also Arrested Development. They should also do one of those.
I think that there were more things that I didn't care for in Succession. Like, there were things where I didn't like the characters because they were doing a great job, and there were things where I was like, why are we still on this? And I really like what I've seen for the most part. I really liked that last episode with the siblings teaming up and the rug being pulled. All that stuff was really good. But it's Underground Railroad. There's nothing in that I've seen. I'm not done yet, but of Underground Railroad, what I have seen, nothing has been where I'm like, oh, come on, go faster, go different, do something else.
So unexpected, and it works brilliantly for being unexpected. All right, Caitlin.
I mean, you got to admit that the Underground Railroad just really chugs along and it never goes off the rails.
There's a whole part where it does go off the rails, Ryan.
Oh, shit. I didn't see
there's
that.
the whole part. Caitlin, what are you voting for? Underground Railroad or Succession?
I'm going with Succession.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. Care to elaborate on that, or just that's your
Nope.
vote?
That's my vote.
Caitlin's vote. We have one officially for Succession, and we've got two for the Underground Railroad. Greg, what is your vote?
Succession is my favorite TV show, the show that I'm most excited to watch when it comes on. Underground Railroad is so much more important than anything else we've talked about in basically any of these shows at the end of the year. It's the perfect show for right now, and everything about it that makes us want to turn away from it is why it's the important show for right now. I think we'll be unpacking this for a really long time. I think this will survive way outside of this generation, and it's just so much the best show of 2021, Underground Railroad.
Absolutely. I agree with those votes. We did have one for Succession. I still think it's a fantastic show. You should definitely check it out. But the Underground Railroad is the top drama of 2021.
Yeah.
The votes are in. We did it. And if you're listening and you still have not seen it, you need to go watch it because it is the best TV drama of 2021. We have all the facts and the evidence to prove that.
And I want to give a
You could
shout
also
out
read
to
the book if you wanted to.
Oh my God, with the book with this guy. I also want to give a shout out to what's his butt from The Great Gatsby and Warrior and The Gift.
F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Nope.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Nope.
Colson Whitehead.
Olsen Whitehead.
That's the name of the.
I would love to give a shout out to the guy who played the slave bounty hunter
Oh, that guy.
to throw his career into absolute jeopardy by playing this white guy. The closest to the biggest through line throughout the entire series, because it does jump around a lot. I don't know what that must have taken to play that guy, but he had to say and do some vile things. That's the kind of show we're talking about here.
And it works. It is brilliant. If you enjoyed this show and our countdown to determine the best TV drama of 2021, you should definitely check out the best of the 2021 movies that will be out soon. We've also got a review of the 2021 top comedies and albums, all on Movie of the Year. That is all. This has been the best of just for TV dramas, and thank you for listening.
Shall I hit stop? All right, cool.